Ah, oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Welcome everyone to episode number 5 of my All Tanks 0 to Keystone Hero challenge. This week was kinda rough. I only had one proper day to do my dungeon runs, and sadly it kind of shows. However, in the hopes I can get this video out relatively quickly, I'll have enough days to record and play for the next episode. So hopefully that'll make up for any lack of quality found in this video. That said though, one thing will definitely be better in this video compared to the last episode. The fact that I have a run to show you guys for all of the tanks. Yay! No OBS scene shenanigans, no forgetfulness, just raw, unadulterated runs. So, let us commence with the guy who had basically no screen time at all last time. Let's take a look at the Paladin. My Paladin didn't end up doing a key last week, so I signed up for a plus 13 Eltharion's Lair. First funny bit, the mage started a countdown, everyone was ready to go down the slide for the intro skip, you should say, but the mage decided to go on 3 seconds remaining, which was kind of funny, because it negated the skip that we tried to do. Just want to say, this kind of stuff happens to the best of us, we're all monkeys in shoes, let's be real. Anyway, the first area in these lower keys I tend to do in multiple pulls at this point. It just feels safer, and you never know what you're gonna get in terms of, insta burst DPS bumpers and aggro issues. That said, Paladin problems abound. My Divine Toll, or Divine Troll, decided to add the big boy in this area as well, which was unexpected, but, now we have to deal with it. That said though, towards the end of this pull, I just didn't have any buttons, defensives to press anymore, so I die. Something I noticed right before I die, I have 3 holy power and I press Shield the Righteous instead of my heal. Maybe I would have lived if I had healed myself instead. It's kind of hard to judge for me still. Regardless though, this causes some others to also die, but the pool doesn't reset and we can move onwards. After the first boss, the avalanches kind of took center stage in regards to the group's issues. We had a few deaths because of it. Overall, all went well though. The second and third boss were not a problem. We had 2 more deaths before the third boss, but we always got through pulls well eventually, and the last boss also didn't pose any problems. No loot, but a very comfortable +2 and a decent bit of score as well. Now, onwards to the other tank that dealt with some scuff in the last episode. The Warrior. So my Warrior's key is a +12 VP, which is a dungeon I've kind of grown to dislike a bit, honestly. The concept of hopping from platform to platform gives me Spires of Ascension flashbacks, and some of the pulls are incredibly annoying to get together. That said, it's pretty comfy on Warrior, and this run specifically is a perfect example of why just pressing W and playing the dungeon in a clean way can still allow for a super fast run. We had 1 death on the pull before the first boss. It seems like the rogue in a small moment of inattentiveness stepped in the swirly, which happens to all of us sometimes. But from then on forwards, we didn't lose anyone and we just kind of blasted while moving forwards. Also, funny bit, during this pull, I noticed that in my Omni CD, it shows I have Intimidating Shout as a form of CC, but it's not on my bars, so I've never used it so far. Whoops. For the next episode, I'll try and sort out the keybind and hopefully remember to use it, just like my active trinket. One day, maybe. But yeah, the rest of this run went flawless, and we actually +3'd the key. Obviously, the Paladin kind of overperformed, which definitely contributed to the +3 quite a bit. But regardless, the main thing I'm happy with in this run is that we played the mechanics well, we kicked what needed to be kicked, stopped what needed to be stopped, and so on. Also, after this key, I turned a shoulder piece I got from the Dream Surge into a tier piece. With the 2 plateware alts covered, let's move to something more leathery. Let's check up with the monk. I was given a +9 freehold. Again, just like last week. First section of the dungeon felt really smooth. We get to the single enforcer at the bridge after the first boss, and the healer took a frontal to the face, which is kind of funny. Nothing major though. Second boss area and second boss fight pose no problem. Smooth sailing still. Then, when entering the Ring of Booty for the first time, I kind of forget solidifying my threat on the Crusher, and the mage pays for it. I should really sort out that pull. I don't know why everything goes wrong all the time, every time, regardless of what kind of tank I play. It's kind of annoying. Aside from that though, this area gets dealt with fine. That said, last episode I said I wanted to focus on rushing Jadewind uptime, and I've been doing quite poorly in this run. I really need to up my game in that regard. Then the first pool of the last area is where I completely fumbled. I couldn't grab aggro and then just kind of panicked, honestly, and that leads to the mage dying and eventually me dying as well. After which the party wipes. So we have to go again. Mage gets hit by the sea spout on the second attempt, but the pool does stabilize after that. From here we do everything well and comfortably +2 to key. A bit of score, no loot, but most importantly, some lessons learned. Now, let's get edgy and check in with the Demon Hunter. RDH got an Eltharian's Lair, again. It's fine though, because honestly it's still score, so I don't really particularly mind doing the same dungeon week in, week out. I've changed some talents around this time and also sorted out some macros for myself as well, so I can drop my sigils either on me or drop them somewhere depending on the circumstances. Now the first area goes well. We have our first death after the first boss in a rather funny circumstance. The DH has to run away for a spiteful, then decides to run behind me and gets hit by the frontal I was specifically trying to aim away from the rest of the group. Spiteful as melee DPS is rough, man. I honestly feel you. Mage gets pelted to death in the next pool. The pelters both jumped to a rather annoying position, but we ultimately managed overall. Then the DH just straight up stands on me the entire time and takes another frontal to the face. And after this we do get through this entire area and we can move on to clearing the second boss room. This is where I massively screw up. In this first pull I get knocked back and I get stuck on something, so I try to wiggle my way out of it, which then suddenly launches me forwards and the frontal hits everyone. Everyone dies due to the dot, and sadly the Hulk lives with 150k HP remaining. My bad. Sorry. Second time's the charm though, and we get to the second boss this time. During the intermission, I'm still focused on killing the idols that were spawned, but apparently none of us paid attention to what the right idol for the intermission was, so we had to kill them all. We don't get a second intermission though, luckily. So the boss gets dealt with fine. Then I have another fail to my name. I want to pull the Crux, but my character goes for a deep dive towards the end. I get killed and 3 other people also die because of it. Then right before the third boss, more mobs get pulled unexpectedly. Based on the thread indication, it seems like the mage somehow pulled. My camera angle is horrible though, because I'm aiming a frontal away, so I can't actually see what happened. 2 people die, then a metamorphosis goes through twice. Everything falls apart, we full wipe, and then when I release, it appears I have a soul stone on me, so I accidentally use it and then instantly die again because I didn't expect to, click on the use soul stone button instead of the release button. Second time's the charm though. The only thing that does go wrong is I tried to remind people to stun the grub, but then the aggro reset on the lurker happens and it kills the healer because I'm not focusing anymore at this point. The third boss gets one shot though, and we can move on to the last area of the dungeon. In this pool, the mage gets launched and then unsuccessfully tries to climb back up, which was kind of funny to see. The remaining trash does go fine, but the last boss fight starts out horrible because people are standing very far away, so the spikes spawn far away from where I can drop the magma sculpture. Then the mage blinks behind me while I'm trying to face the boss away from the group, so they get sniped. After this bit of shenanigans, the pool does stabilize though. And we finish the fight as well as the key successfully. Quite a bit of scuff from pretty much all of us, me included, I have to be honest. I played horribly in this run, but we managed to see it through to the end. No loot, but a bit of score and another plus 15 on the board. Now, with all of the alts covered, it's time for the main character of this story, at the moment at least. As soon as he reaches his goal, that'll change. The Blood Death Knight. Now I have bad news, because the first key I did on the DK is also in Eltharian's lair. Yay, we're back in this place again, and we can't seem to escape. Oh my god, please help me. It's a 16 this time, and the Warlock takes a frontal here, doesn't die, but then the aggro reset makes it so they get insta-gibbed, unfortunately. A bit later, I lose both of my cheats because I failed to properly get the pull together. I shouldn't have moved forward in this case. I should have just stood my ground to foresee this. Healer aggro is always a thing. If I'm not using any abilities, then the mobs will just run all over the place, and by me positioning myself extremely forward, I basically negate my ability to get aggro again on everything around my friends instead of everything around me, if that makes sense. Additionally, I also just didn't manage my defensives properly whatsoever. I'm sitting on buttons, I should have pressed something, and I didn't. We do get past the first boss fine though, and then move onwards. The road to the second boss goes without any kind of difficulty, and the second boss is killed before they even go into the intermission. So we're really picking up the pace at this point. And now, a perfect example of a little bit of communication trivializing difficult or annoying things in keys. I asked the crew for help to get the crocs pulled. Priest tells me to go in and they'll use Leap of Faith to pull me back. No deaths, no aggro issues, no cheat procs. Just gamers gaming, honestly. Third boss goes down fast and we move on to the last section. We fail to stop the Demolisher from transforming and the warrior is a bit too slow with getting away from him, so he gets nuked. Last boss goes fine, though there was an iffy moment where the spikes were spawned far away. This made it so I had to walk quite a lot, so the group took big AoE damage, but we get through it properly. We kill the boss, very comfortable, time the key, and move on to the next run. An Alderman, 16. The start and the first boss go well. Then we have one death before the second boss due to a big AoE swirly killing someone. Second boss is another prime example of grip on the Death Knight being really nice to have, because you're always able to grab the caster and put it in melee. This fight goes well overall. Then the scuff begins. These custodians gain stacks over time, which makes them stronger the longer the fight lasts. Generally, you want to pull them all together, stack them up, and then let the group kill them while also keeping them slowed and CC'd and stunned, because stuns specifically remove their stacks. Due to initial aggro issues, we struggle early on because they're not stacked and killing other people. I also lose my cheats from here and it's just scrappy all around. After I die in return, they're small again, which indicates that they've had their stacks removed. However, I still get absolutely destroyed here. I'm not sure what happened here. We eventually get past this bit, but with a Frost Mage for slows and an entire arsenal of stuns, stops, and CCs, this shouldn't have happened. I've never experienced this issue on this pull, and in my opinion it all stems from not getting aggro in the beginning, which then led to the mobs just being split and out of place and all over the place, and then also some people just not using their CC. That said, the third boss goes without issue, and we can move forward. We have some solid pulls, and then the overlap of Earthquake plus Hailstones kills 2 people. We could have stopped the Hailstone cast. I had Sleet plus my grips, but we're just playing a bit sloppy today, honestly. I have no excuses. The next pull goes fine, and Emberon is next. He dies in 1 minute and 23 seconds, which includes an intermission phase. So yeah, this was kind of nasty and quick. The rest of the dungeon goes well. Last boss goes down easily, and we actually only missed a +2 timer by 5 seconds. So the whole custodian shenanigans really cost us, sadly. We get a trinket that's awkward to use, but also some more score. And then the next dungeon is a +16 Vortex Pinnacle. The first bit of the run goes well. We do lose 2 people on this pull though, but ultimately manage overall. First boss dies easily, but I proc my cheat while getting the squalls together after the first boss. Hey, look, imagine if you'd press your defensives, you unbelievable Then we lose the priest right at the end of the dragon pool, which is very unfortunate because then you have to all kind of wait, kill spiteful, stand still for the res until you can move on. It's bothersome, but you know, unlucky. Then I lose my purgatory here because I miscalculate how hard these melees actually hit me, which makes sense because I don't have any bone shield charges up because I'm an idiot. I don't know. We do move onwards though. During this pull, the paladin suddenly stops attacking, stands still and says he's lagging, and then kind of just stands there for a little bit. While the paladin is still vibing in the back, priest gets meleeed by the spiteful. The paladin does return though, so we're all present for the second boss fight. We get past the Drake without any problems and can move on. In fact, from here on forwards, we kind of just breeze through the rest of the dungeon, which is kind of funny because, in my opinion, all of the mob packs in this last section are actually the most difficult to deal with, but we're actually fine. We're just chilling. Last boss, no problem. We comfortably time the key, get some score. No loot though, once again. It's not been a good week for loot after dungeons, but we move on. Well, kind of. After this, I decided to do my own key. It is currently 2:15 a.m., so about 45 minutes before reset. So I only had one more attempt at a key, like a realistic attempt at least. So I decided to go for my own key, a 17 Brackenhide. And this is where I realized I wasn't recording right at the very end of the dungeon. I guess to give it a summary, it went well overall. We comfortably timed it, as you can see. We had a few deaths along the way, but smooth sailing in general. No proper full team wipes, everything went fine. No loot, once again, kind of a theme for the week. A bit of score, bring us right under 2.2k. And that was, in fact, that for this reset. Due to time-related issues, I only had one day of proper playing, but given that, I'm actually happy with the amount of runs I've done still. Way less progress compared to last week, but we're still on the right track. And maybe next week will be better. This then brings us to the last section, of course, the vaults. The monk got a hero chest piece to replace a veteran level chest piece, which is very nice. I also turned this into tier, of course. The key I received is a +9 freehold. Yes, the third +9 freehold in a row for the monk. I might need to join someone else's key for next week. The paladin got a helmet on the hero track, which replaces a heroic item level helmet. So yeah, I was quite happy with this one. This was very much worth it, and I think also kind of funny given the fact that I didn't get a reward from the vault for him last week. So an extra big upgrade now feels a bit better, to be honest. Naturally, I also turned this into tier. Paladin now actually has 4P, so that is one less worry for me. The key I got is a +13 Ultimate. The Demon Hunter got a belt on the hero track to replace a champion belt. Solid item level upgrade, so I will not complain. The key I got is a +15 Ultimate. The warrior was blessed with a tier piece, gloves to replace my champion gloves. Solid item level upgrade, and it also gives me 4Ps. The key I got is a +12 Brackenhide. And then finally, the Death Knight. I got two choices. A weapon on the myth track and a belt on the myth track with a socket. Now, I already have a belt on the myth track, but I'm planning on getting a 447 weapon crafted, so I went with the belt anyway because of the socket upgrade. The key I received is a 17 Underrot. In fact, small emergency edit, right before reset I hit up a crafter, but there wasn't enough time to sort out everything before the servers went down, but we ended up doing it the day after, so I actually have my 447 weapon for the coming week, which is really nice. I'm very happy with that. And that concludes everything for this episode. This week was meh, all things considered. Due to a lack of time, I didn't really get to do all that I wanted to do, but ultimately in what little time I had, I did quite a lot of things still, so I can't complain too much. We go onwards to what is hopefully a better week, maybe? We'll see. I should definitely have more days to play, which will offer both more progress as well as better quality in everything, honestly, because I'll have more time to work on everything properly. So definitely stay tuned for the next one. With all of that said, thank you for watching, like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want, and if you have any questions or comments or advice, just leave them down below. I'll read them, I'll check them out, and I'll happily interact with all of you guys. Take care, and be safe. I am out. Cheers.